Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. Hope your Monday is going well. All of our guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, including Tony Dungy, the Hall of Famer. It's going to be great. He's going to provide a couple of different perspectives. He was in the booth Saturday night to watch that classic between Clemson and Notre Dame. And then he, of course, was in the studio last night to get his perspective on Sunday Night Football. That stunning Saints runaway against the Bucs. And, of course, he lives in Tampa. So, Tony, all things college football, biggest game of the weekend in that sport, and then the biggest game in the NFL. Tony, all over it with us this morning at 8:10 a.m. Eastern. Key, you just gave the qualifications for MVP. So it seems to reason, are we taking for granted a guy that threw yesterday for 372 yards, 30 for 45, 4 touchdowns, and essentially saying now for your runaway choice for MVP, Patrick Mahomes, ho-hum, that's just another Sunday?
It is just another Sunday, right?
Is that crazy we're taking that for granted?
No, I don't think I'm taking it for granted at all.
You think some are?
No, because what happened is Russell Wilson got out to such a big
historic
start, right? It was like historic. It was the first 4 games. He was ridiculous. Even though Patrick Mahomes was just warming up, right? They were warming up. And so when you look at it, it's like, okay, we know what he is. And so what you going to say? But then after Russell came Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doing more with less. And so you start to look at that a little bit, and you're like, man, these dudes is on fire. They're ridiculous. So, based on just how flawless Patrick Mahomes and cool and collective and calm he is when things aren't going well, then all of a sudden he just turns. It's like he turns on a switch. It's like basketball to me. It's like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James. He like just, okay, no problem, man. I see what y'all trying to do. Now he turns on a switch, and the rest is history. And I think Aaron Rodgers, the same thing. Now, look, Russell Wilson, he played okay yesterday against the Bills. Didn't play great, didn't play bad, just played okay. Didn't play well enough for them to win. And I think you look at that, it drops him down in my eyes just a little bit. And Aaron Rodgers, based on the way he played against San Francisco, and I know people say, it was the Niners. So what? Doesn't matter. He still was out there, and him and Devontae Adams went to work. But Patrick Mahomes has gotten this momentum going now, Jay, that he moves back up to the top for me. And it's going to be a seesaw battle over the next several weeks until this thing closes out.
I just want to say, Key, welcome to the Patrick Mahomes train. I know I was on this train a couple of weeks ago. The guy has thrown for 25 TDs and 1 interception. 25 TDs and 1 interception.
Let that sink in.
I mean, and he's thrown for 2,687 yards. Now, I know, I just thought over a matter of time, the weapons that he has and the style in which they play and the defense was going to be an issue for Patrick Mahomes that will help him win this whole thing. I mean, granted, we're halfway throughout the course of the season, but I thought one of the issues for Russ moving forward is just that defense. He would be in so many shootouts that he would be forced to take a lot more chances. Now, I've never seen Russ get hit the way he got hit yesterday. Key, have you? Not in a long time.
No.
He got punished yesterday.
Bill's got a good defense. And I'd like to see that interception from Patrick Mahomes. Like, I don't remember it, but What was it? Was it a Hail Mary at the end of a half or end of the game? Was it a tip ball, the receiver? I like to see it, right? Because I'm just off the top of my head, I don't remember him just throwing it to the other team. Like, here you go. So it had to be some circumstances in there, in my opinion, for that interception to even take place.
So we are asking this morning, who is your MVP? Key clear with Patrick Mahomes. Jay's been on the Patrick Mahomes train for quite some time. I want to round out your top 3 here in a second. But again, if you're with us in the car, at Zoom, sitting at your dining room table, logging on to work, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776, Key, J, and Z. Simply put, who's the NFL MVP? Want to give you a couple numbers here to accentuate Mahomes a little more and then get the fellas' top 3. Here we go. The Chiefs threw the ball almost 4 times as many times as they ran it. I know Andy Reid loves to throw and balance is there. 4-1 essentially pass to run ratio. Also, keep in mind, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, after that great opening game against the Texans on Thursday Night Football, September 10th to open the season, he has really decelerated. Yes, he's turning into a blocker, but teams are figuring him out, so they're not getting much from Helaire. Very quiet game from Le'Veon Bell yesterday as well, further accentuating the need for somebody like for Mahomes to step up.
And they were playing from behind. So, when you play from behind, there's a tendency from offensive coordinators to be impatient and start throwing the ball a little bit more, especially when your offensive weapons is better than the defensive secondary and linebackers of the Panthers.
That's right. Now let's get through 2 and 3. It's top 3. Again, at home, we want your top 1, your MVP. 888-SAY-ESPN, Key, J, and Z. Key, let's start with you. Mahomes, an obvious number 1. You mentioned who are 2 and 3, and then we'll get Jay's 2 and 3.
Well, Patrick Mahomes is 1, Aaron Rodgers is 2, and Russell Wilson is 3.
Simple as that.
Yeah, but doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean it's going to end that way.
Of course.
It just means right now, based on what I saw last week, what I saw this past weekend, puts them in that category of 1, 2, and 3.
Jay?
I have Patrick Mahomes number 1. I have Aaron Rodgers number 3. I have Russell Wilson number 2. Now, I know why people will probably go crazy about Aaron Rodgers being 3rd, even though he's thrown for 24 TDs and 2 interceptions, which is incredible. But unfortunately, I look at quality of competition, and when I look at the competition that I've seen Aaron Rodgers play against, when you think about the Vikings, the Lions, the Saints, obviously it's a good team. We saw them play last night, the Falcons, Texans. They lost to the Vikings, 49ers. I feel like the quality of competition that Russ has had to go up against has been a little bit better, so I give him the slight advantage for now. But if Russ keeps trending in this direction of throwing so many INTs, then it's going to be hard for me to have him number 2 next week.
Vikings are playing better. They're playing better football.
They've
right?
won 2 in a row. They're 3 and 5, knocked off the Packers a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, so when you start to look at the slate of competition that these individuals are playing, I mean, it to me doesn't really matter because they all are kind of like they're not playing a bunch of Detroits. It's not a bunch of Jacksonville Jaguars in their way.
That's who Rodgers has next, by the way.
Yes.
Chance to pad the stats.
So
exactly.
he's gonna do his job against them. But then you could say the same thing. You could look and say the same thing about KC. They're gonna play Denver. At some point. They're gonna play Denver, right? I mean, that's just what it is. And so when you start to look at these type of teams and these quarterbacks going up against certain teams, they're doing what they supposed to do, which is get the W's and put the statistics up there no matter who's in front of them.
Well, think about this for Russ, too. I mean, their next game at Rams, at L.A., right? And that defense, and then Cardinals as well. So
And then Kansas City is on the bye, so he doesn't have to terrorize anybody for another week. Defensive coordinators can sleep easy. We're asking the Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin Nation, who's the MVP? Right now, you got plenty of choices. And the early returns say 43% of you agree with Key and Jay. Patrick Mahomes, 21% say Russell Wilson, 20% say Rodgers, 16% say Josh Allen. At Johnny_Hakes, hit us up on the Dr. Pepper Twitter feed, said, quote, with Mahomes and his myriad weapons on offense, the Chiefs have the ability to score their way out of trouble. No lead is safe. No question. Exactly. He's the NFL's most valuable player.
You know who's not on that list? Big Ben.
But
interesting, huh?
Big Ben's not on that list, and you know what's so crazy is Drew Brees got weapons too,
right?
It's all about how you set it up. Because I'm sure Drew Brees and if you ask the New Orleans Saints players, they would say Drew Brees should be in a conversation too, despite him having maybe more interceptions than those other guys. But look what he's doing. That's what they would say.
Let's try to squeeze in one quick call on the MVP conversation. Nick from Louisiana, you're not going to go Drew Brees, but you're going one of his teammates.
Yeah, I'm going with Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, he is.
Why though?
He is certainly an MVP. There's no question about it. I mean, he the coldest back I've seen. Him and McCaffrey are the 2 coldest backs on terms of catching the ball as well as running the ball since Marshall Faulk.
How about that?
But we saw Christian McCaffrey not winning a year ago. Why would Kamara win it? I mean, the numbers he put up a year ago were sick. They were stupid.
It's going to be hard to win the MVP at that position unless you're 2,000 yards or more. I mean, it's just going to be hard because quarterbacks win.
Nick, give us the real spiel here. What's the plug here for Alvin Kamara? Why?
It's just he could do anything. He could run the ball. He could catch the ball. If he needs to do a punt return, kickoff return, he could do everything.
Fair enough.
Marshall Faulk-like.
Yep. We saw Faulk running, catching out of the backfield. Great comparison. On the way, earlier this season, Dan Orlovsky, our ESPN NFL analyst, dozen years in the league, said his MVP was Josh Allen. Is he changing his tune, or after yesterday, is he back on the Allen bandwagon? Dan will join us next. We'll ask him that after Key has this.
Speaking of Allen, how about some great bullet points here? If you need to hire, you need Indeed. The moment you sponsor a job, Indeed instantly delivers a short list of quality candidates from their resume database. Indeed handles finding candidates with the skills you need so you can focus on hiring the person who is good a very good fit for you. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Claim your $75 credit for your first job post at Indeed./credit. That's Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
Fellas, the NFL MVP right now is
Patrick Mahomes, I think, will end up winning MVP